Today we're going to be talking about the pre-calculus, the class that is involving the AP class. If you're an American college student or middle school student, it's going to be the basic concept of preparation for the calculus and then even above level math classes. This class can be a little bit easy if you're from already the knowledge of the background, already knowing what to do. So you can just skip those lessons. You can just skip to my calculus or differential equation or any algebra classes. So I'm going to be creating the whole series for you guys to be prepared. Especially if you are in East Asia countries, you're going to have what is so-called for the assessment test in order to go to the college. And I think those classes can be very helpful. But if you're already in college classes and you are still struggling of in calculus, that probably you can just come back and review what's going on and what you are missing in your knowledge, because it's going to be very important for your future study. In math, when you study, it's going to be a progress little by little, but you should not miss any knowledge in the past. So you're going to be very careful of studying all kind of knowledge, so your level is going to be growing. So today, the class is going to be the pre-calculus class, and we're going to talk about the real numbers and its properties. And next section is going to be talk about addition, multiplication, division, and so how you wanted to subtractions. Wanted to subtract number from the other. We can just say of those four. Multiplication and division and subtraction and addition. However, in the future, the mathematical proofs, those are very, very tricky sometimes. Can it come with some problems? Can it be very tricky and very difficult? And then those challenges can make you like feel, no, it is real math that stopped you. But it's okay. We just start from the beginning. And then the reason why I have to talk about the real numbers and its properties, because it's gonna be very important when you go above level, and then you have to know what real numbers are including and what is the so what is the space that is concluding of each other. So what is the sub of each. For example, real numbers including what kind of real number. The real numbers actually including of two sections. One is called natural numbers. In Chinese or Japanese, we call it. Okay, so natural numbers is actually some numbers that we often see in our real life. So when we are like a baby and we started counting 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are actually real numbers. But just to keep in mind, that does not include zero. Okay, so it's very important for the future. I want you to prove that this is the natural numbers only. And then you have to be very clear. It does not include zero. And then the second thing we want to talk about is integers. So the integers actually including the positive integer, negative integers, but also zero. So integers have more numbers than natural number, but natural number is actually part of integers. So in mathematical proof, if you wanted to prove that it's an integer, then you have to know that it must conclude three parts. Positive integer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. that we so-called it's a real number. It's a natural numbers. And then negative is going to be negative, -2, -3, -4, and -5. And then, but also the third part is going to be 0. So that means it is consisting of 3 parts. Okay. And then the next thing is we're going to talk about, which is Russian. Any numbers that can be expressed as r is equals to m divided by n. M is going to be an integer, and then n is going to be any other number. Okay, in this case, we have to say if we give you example, r is equals to 1 over half. Okay, and then r is equals to minus 3 over 7. So those actually can be computed as maybe r is equals to 0.5, and then those are actually rational numbers. So in the future, if I'm asking you to prove that a number is a rational number, then you have to say, can it be expressed as r is equals to m divided by n? And then if it is so, that means it's rational numbers. And then the irrational number, if you have rational number, that means that you also have irrational number. Irrational numbers, that is actually something that is not continuously. For example, it's not going to give you like a cycle. If I'm giving you some numbers, for example 5, or for example square root of 2, or for example square root of 3, or anything that is not like a repetition of a cycle. However, over here, so if you can see 1 over 3, r is equals to 1 over 3. That means one can, the numerator is 1, and then the denominator 3. That means it can be expressed as a decimal sign. This can be expressed as you just put a bar on the top. So this can be called as rational. But those numbers are not repeatable. So that means those are actually part of the irrational, and then it will keep on going. Both of which are keep on going. However, rational numbers actually keep going, but there is going to be a repetition thing. We say 1 over 2 can be expressed as 5, and then we just keep on writing some zeros. But those are zeros does not have any meanings. And then if we keep on going, and then but those are going to be repeat all the time, right? However, so those numbers are not going to be repeatable, and they still keep on going forever. So it's called irrational numbers. And now let's see, those are the real numbers. We call it in Chinese if it is real numbers. And then what about the second part? It's not going to be unreal. It's going to be imaginary. Any numbers that you have been seeing so far in the universe is not going to be in your head. It can be in your head, but it's not going to be imaginary. And that is called real numbers. It's going to be on the whole space. Whole space, that is, any numbers can be right on your paper. is going to be real numbers. But anything it's imaginary, we express as I. In mathematics, for example, if you wanted to do the square root of -1, we say it's actually I. Okay? It does not exist in the real world, but it will probably exist somewhere else. And then, so we have to remember, so I square is actually -1. In this case, that the number is imaginary that you haven't seen so far. That is called imaginary number. And then what is I can just draw like a mathematical relationship between what is a real number. We say real numbers are actually a big picture, not including the entire, so including the rational numbers and irrational. The irrational numbers we can just say as not repeatable. We can just say square root of 2 and then square root of pi or square root of 3. That is continuously forever continuously going after the decimals, but it's not going to repeat. But any rational numbers is going to be, okay, we say, for example, 1/3 or 0.5000, and then it's going to be repeat the same number. And then includingly, we have integer. Integers is under the subset of rational numbers. It's going to be the subset of the rational numbers. And then we have integers, and then we have natural numbers. Natural numbers is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, but not including 0. Okay? And then this is the whole class, and hopefully that it's easier for you guys to understand. And see you in the next class.